Today we are talking about Santos Dumont, the most iconic airport in Brazil and perhaps the most famous as well. My name is Ana, and here in this channel we talk about everything in Brazil. So let's talk about the most famous airport in Brazil now. So first, the name. Santos Dumont, Alberto Santos Dumont, was what is considered by all Brazilians as the father of aviation. For Brazilian people, the brothers Wright wasn't really the fathers of aviation. It is Santos Dumont, and he was an inventor from the 19th century, and he had 14 bis, which was his famous airplane that took flight. And I think it depends on how you understand what an airplane is to think if the brothers Wright are the fathers of the aviation or Santos Dumont. So I guess that's a discussion for another time. Now, speaking about the actual airport, in terms of location and accessibility, the airport is situated right within downtown in Rio, and it's very easily accessible by several means of transportation. So you can get there with taxi, Uber, cars, VLT, which is the rapid transit, the tram, and also the metro with the connections. So if you're taking a taxi, Uber, car, or whatever it is, it's an easy ride from the South Zone. You go straight through the Aterro do Flamengo, which is that beautiful kind of highway that we have along the coast of Guanabara Bay, and you get straight there. It's usually traffic free once you reach that road, and it's very easy to get in and very well signed as well. If you're getting the VLT and the metro, you will probably take the metro into the Carioca station in downtown and then integrate it or like take a change into the VLT system, which is the tramway that runs in that area. I have a full video about how the metro system works in Rio, and there are some prices around the integrations as well as explaining how they work, because I think you have a 2-hour limit or something like that. So check that other video out if you're interested in knowing how to go around Rio using the metro. Now, if you are arriving in Santos Dumont, then you need to know that taxis are usually available in the front of the airport, whereas Uber, you need to go down to the back of the shopping mall, Bossa Nova, which we'll be talking about in a moment. If getting the taxis in front of the airport is something you're going to be doing, I suggest you just agree the prices inside within their kind of stands, the standalone stands they have in there. You might have like the premium taxis and all of that. Usually what is called taxi comum or common taxi, which is yellow and blue. These are the cheapest ones. It's basic. There's nothing really special about it. It's just a normal cab. Only if you want like a more premium service, I would suggest you get one of the other options. But if you're fine with a normal taxi, just go for taxi comum, which would be probably more affordable. Those stands, the taxi stands, they are located in front of the arrivals gates, as well as the car rentals stand. So if you're renting a car, that's where you're going to find it as well as the kind of vending machines for the Rio card, which is what you're going to be using to pay for the VLT and the metro. And also there are some ATMs in case you want to take some cash with you. Now, in terms of the layout of the airport is very small. It only has one terminal, which is like a very long stretch on the airport side that faces the bay. But despite its size, it's one of the 10 busiest airports in Brazil because it connects to pretty much everywhere in the country. Currently, it can support up to 10 million passengers, but it seems like it's going to change next year. We'll be talking about that in a moment. But all of these 10 million passengers are able to fly with the infrastructure of only 2 runways, 8 standard gates, as well as 13 of those remote gates. You know, the ones that you kind of need to take the little bus and go into the tarmac to get into the plane. Talking about airlines and destinations, Santos Dumont Airport, as I said, is a major hub for a lot of connections within the country. It only has domestic flights, so unfortunately you can't fly into any international destinations, even if it's in Latin America or South America. It only flies within Brazil. And some of the key airlines that operate there are Gol, Latam, and Azul, which are some of the 3 main airlines operating in Brazil. Just this year, 2023, as I'm recording this, there was an agreement to kind of cap the number of passengers in Santos Dumont for 6.5 million people yearly. I think they're still arranging the details, but the truth is there are going to be fewer flights next year onwards. And the reason for that is because Galeão is like really deserted now. There are not many flights flying there. So it's like a huge international airport that is underutilized. So they're going to move some of those flights in there to kind of revive and give some new life into Galeão as well. So this change is going to be happening on the first quarter of 2024. So if you already have flights that are scheduled to come out of Santos Dumont, double check if your flights are still flying from Santos Dumont or not. I have a flight that got rescheduled into Galeão for next year as well, so make sure to double check if that's the case for you as well. In terms of the services and amenities you can find there are very few restaurants, cafes, shops, bars within the airport itself. In fact, they even have like a small co-working space. However, they have attached the Bossa Nova Mall, which I mentioned, and that's where you're going to have a little bit more options for restaurants, for bars. They have a WeWorks there, I think. They also have car parking, also a business center in there, as well as a couple restaurants with some very nice views into the runways. In fact, not only the runways, it's actually a pretty impressive view from the Sugarloaf, the Guanabara Bay, and you can probably even see into Niterói, which is the kind of sister city just across the bay from Rio de Janeiro. Both the mall and the airport's bathrooms are very clean, very well kept. And the staff, I had a video, like a small video that I done when I was flying in Santos Dumont the last time I've been there. And what I registered was that I found the staff extremely friendly, especially if compared with the international airport, Galeão. So I was really positively surprised about the level of service. Not so very impressed with the level of service in Galeão, but that's for another video. In terms of security and custom procedures, as I mentioned, it is only a domestic airport, so there won't be any customs, there won't be any immigration, and there won't be anything related to international travels. However, you will still need to go through security. And if by any chance you need to solve anything in terms of your immigration status or something, there is on the third floor, it's quite tucked away, quite hidden, a station for the federal police, for the Brazilian federal police. So it is there in a pinch if you need to speak to them for some reason. So in terms of the actual flights procedures, right, once you arrive in the airport, the first things you're going to see, as all airports, are going to be the check-in spaces as well as the luggage drop-off. So that's where you can go, that's where you can put your luggage, and then you need to kind of climb an escalator, and then you turn the opposite way where the escalators arrive, and then that's where you get into the check-in as well, usually signed. It's just a weird configuration that you kind of need to go up and then turn your back and go in. It is a very straightforward, very small airport, so as soon as you go through security, you're already going to be on the main lobby for the airport. So just make sure to find where your gate is, sit down, maybe have a coffee. There are going to be shops, and then enjoy the view because the entire corridor has glasses towards the Guanabara Bay as well. So you can also enjoy the view when sitting over there. One thing that I wanted to note as well is that they have some kind of poles with sockets for you to charge your phones or your laptops or whatever. Just make sure to have a converter, like a whatever is your country, into the Brazilian format. I have a link to one that I've bought here. I can drop the link off here from Amazon, so you can try and check that one out if you don't have it, but if you do have it, just make sure to bring it along with you. So in terms of airplane spotting, I know a few people enjoy just going to the airport to watch the airplanes, and also there are some quite striking photos you can take with the airplanes going right in front of Sugarloaf. So I already mentioned both the restaurant at the top of the mall as well as the gates themselves. You have a clear view from the runway, but you can also see the planes from Botafogo Cove and Botafogo Praia Mall that are a little bit farther away, so you won't be able to see the actual takeoff, but you're going to be able to see the planes when they're already airborne, so you can get the view of them passing in front of the Sugarloaf. And if you're a photographer or if you enjoy taking some kind of amateur nice pictures, there's probably a good spot for you to go, as well as the Urca neighborhood, which in my opinion is the best neighborhood in Rio. I'm also going to link it here. It's a very quiet neighborhood except for the airplanes passing once in a while, but it stops not too late at night. It's quite a nice place for you to go and spot the airplanes. In terms of safety and security within the airport, Santos Dumont is pretty safe. It's actually quite isolated, so it's not great for you to walk there. If you notice, I didn't mention getting there walking. You can do that, but I would advise against it. You would go through like some dodgy areas, so maybe just get there with one of the transportation means. But within the airport, it's actually pretty safe. The only thing you need to be aware of, obviously, are the usual stuff that happens in any airports, like people taking your luggage or pickpocketing or those type of petty crimes that usually happens within airports anywhere in the world. But even that is, I personally didn't hear much about these things happening in there. I also haven't seen a lot of like ostensive police officers, as I actually have seen a lot here through Europe. So here in Europe, you're gonna see military with assault rifles, and I don't remember seeing that in Santos Dumont. So it is a very safe airport, but you also don't feel the oppressing police enforcement going around. So it's very pleasant over there. Speaking about future developments, in fact, there are no plans for that. And the reason for it is because, as I mentioned, they're actually capping down the number of passengers within Santos Dumont because we have an underutilized entire international airport, Galeão. So we're just gonna make sure to utilize that airport much more before even thinking of any planes, I would assume. So I don't believe there are any plans for future expansions or anything like that. And it would also be very challenging because it is already built on a landfill inside Guanabara Bay. So for the airport to be expanded, they would need to fill in an even wider area to then be able to build something else, which I honestly don't see happening anytime soon. In fact, I'm not even sure it would be alive by the time they consider that. So as I mentioned before, the metro system in Rio can get you there through the connection with the VLT. But if you do want to know more about how to use the entire metro system, make sure to use this other video here, which is a full guide. I think is the most complete guide out there about metro in Rio. It works differently during Carnival and New Year's Eve. So if you're going to be in Rio during those times, you probably want to know the information. So check this video out. Next week, I will not be releasing a video on Monday because it's Christmas, but I will be releasing a video on Wednesday for New Year's time. So I will see you on the next one, and I wish all of you a very happy holidays. See you soon. Bye.